Great.
Would you be willing to repeal, brought to a vote, the street sweeping fine issue that we have right now?
So would you be willing to repeal the current street sweeping ordinance?
Yes.
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 Good. That's what I like.
Okay. Okay. Anybody in the back there? Okay, back to Keith then.
Okay. Currently, government employees' salaries average around $123,000. In the private sector, $61,000. Brea, for a number of years, has used a 10-city survey, wherein the cities who are used in this survey have populations of 7, 8, 9, 10 times the size of Brea. If I heard you correctly, I was led to believe that you felt that that served as a good guideline for our city in terms of compensating its management team and perhaps some other employees as well. Why would you feel government employees are deserving salaries so far in excess of the private sector when in the late 80s and early 90s they lagged behind the private sector? I remember addressing this to the city council, but yet now it's perfectly okay for them to get their unions and private individuals, professionals who go out and hammer the city for more to increase their salaries on an annual basis. How do you justify that?
Okay, the question has to do with the relationship of private salaries in the private sector versus those in government and their relationship.
Well, it seems to me the catchphrase lately has been the 10-city survey. I was just in the Brea Police Association interview, and they were asking me about the 10-city survey. And when they started asking me, I sort of assumed that they were sort of upset with the 10-city survey. And they weren't. Actually, how a 10-city survey works, at least with the Police Association, the way they explained it to me, is that the bargaining unit chooses 5 cities, and then the management chooses 5 cities. Those 10 cities are put together, and then the median in between, obviously between the 2 cities is where the salary is sort of decided upon. So that process, as long as both sides have a say in what 10 cities there are, seems to be fair. As far as compensation for public employees, it is an issue that faces not only our city, our state, but our country. Being able to afford PERS and the retirement packages that we as city councils have agreed to is gotten us into some trouble. We're going to have to make some hard decisions, I think, in relation to the compensation that we do give our public employees.
Okay, I'm back to Bill. To rotate. I see Debbie. Debbie has a question.
What are your views on the hillside and canyon developments? For example, would you have supported Canyon Crest if you had been on the council at the time?
Your view on hillside and canyon development, particularly Canyon Crest?
I must say, I don't know the specifics of that specific Canyon Crest deal. I was fortunate enough to go up to the property, and a friend of mine has a key to the gate, and I was able to drive up and have a look at the property. It's a very beautiful property up there by the water tank. So I have to say that the specifics of, like any development, the specifics of that specific proposal, I'm not aware of. But let me just say, I do lean on the side of keeping our hills.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Milt's question number 5, if I can. Being a full-time student, how are you going to handle city duties?
My motto is sleep when you're dead. How's that now? I like to stay busy. I sleep about 5 or 6 hours a day, and I like being active, and I like being engaged, and I like being busy. So I don't see any problem with that at all.
Earlier you mentioned that you didn't feel like staff was having a dramatic effect on residents. And I ask you as a response to what you said, is that using a 10-city survey where the cities there are set at over almost 900% in some cases of our salary, doesn't it seem like the unions, for example, would of course have an incentive to use the highest paid cities at all? I mean, that's their incentive. They want to get paid more. And in the same token, you're saying that the city is not going against us. Well, it appears that in order to balance the budget, they implemented the street sweeping restriction, which again is coming to the residents and taking money out of our pockets. Another attack on the residents. Currently, we have another parking proposal that is going to be going up on October 5th to continue parking regulations 24/7. And then on top of that, we've cut senior programs, we've increased the fees for youth programs. Please explain how it is that staff is not attacking or trying to keep their salaries exactly the same level while people in the community are losing their salaries. I mean, how is it? Please explain to me how you feel that staff is not attacking residents.
So Glenn's question relates to a number of initiatives that have taken place recently that appear to be taxation.
Even building fees, increased building fees.
And so forth, that cost residents money as a way to support salaries and benefits to their employees, city employees.
I, in no way, shape, or form, think that the city staff is attacking Brea residents. Very good. Debbie?
Can you elaborate on your answer a little bit there? You just kind of dusted over what I think what the gentleman asked was how you feel about all of the ways that we are being charged more money and the city people's salaries are remaining the same while the private sector workers and the private citizens, we're having to deal with reality. They're not having to deal with reality. We're the ones paying the bill. So I appreciate it if you give us a little more concise answer on that question.
Good, thanks. So some clarification on that in terms of how that works. Your view on that.
Yeah, I agree with you, sir. A couple things. Number one is, like I mentioned before, I've been a part of the city organization for 20 years. And as a member of the Community Services Department, I saw, I think, hopefully someone in the back can correct me if I'm wrong, about 14 people, a couple of which were my friends, terminated just by or cutting you to cut $6 million out of the budget. I'm sure we all know, as you said, that we're in an economic downturn and things are tight, and it's tight for everybody. Like I said, I've seen staff members terminated. Not only their compensation wasn't just cut; they were fired to save taxpayer money. The specific question, though, I think you're asking me, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, is it seems as though city employees aren't feeling the pinch. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Beg your pardon? I'm not saying that city employees aren't feeling the pinch. I'm saying that certain city employees aren't feeling the pinch. And they're fighting tooth and nail to remain not feeling the pinch.
And you're
at our cost.
Gotcha, okay. Right. Now,
this isn't an attack on anybody specifically. I'm talking about just, we're like the the street sweeping, you know, the parking person that follows them around and writes tickets. I got a ticket on my street over Memorial Day weekend. I had 3 people visiting me, and they got tickets for parking on the street. My neighbors got tickets for parking on the street. I live on a small street. I've never seen a police car up there unless I've been calling on them, okay, in the 7 years that I've lived on my street. And that night, on my little street with only 3 houses, 9 tickets were written for parking after 2 a.m. on the street. I think that's where I'm coming from on where we get the shaft, but there's many other ways. But what I'm saying is, he says that there's not, you know, that salaries aren't being lowered, where we are, you know, in the private sector, our salaries are being lowered. There's a big gap between the salaries of the private sector and the public sector people, and I think he just kind of dusted over his question with a 3-word answer, and I just wanted to know if you would elaborate on that.
Okay. We still have some tough times ahead, and I will certainly look at reducing management staff salaries to make ends meet. Also, like as I simply stated before, I'm not happy with the street sweeping ordinance. I think that can be construed as a tax on our residents, and we can't afford it right now. So, you know, I think having a look at management compensation is a way to cut costs, as well as you know, helping out our residents by reducing the amount of parking tickets they get, is another way to work for the residents. Someone like just you, sir. So, does that answer your question?
That's